Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Scoundrels of the Force here on PLD Projects. We are a little bit of a walking wounded crew today. We're a little under the weather, a little different aspects of ourselves, not quite at our full Sith levels, Jedi levels, scoundrel levels, but we're here. We're here to talk Star Wars. That always makes me happy. I'm here with some of my fellow scoundrels of the Force here. Matty Gunner, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, dude. I mean, like you said, a bit of a wounded crew. Uh, we're feeling it today, but we're here to talk the best franchise in the world, the best franchise of all time, the franchise that we all love, Star Wars. And I'm stoked as always to talk to you and Jarvi. You're two of my favorite people to talk to because you actually get half of the crazy shit that comes out of my brain, and you accept me for it. So,
Love you for it, actually. Love you for it. So.
oh, well,
And of course, my brother from another mother, Richard Eric Jarvi, my friend. Good to
I'm
see you.
back. I'm
You're
back.
back.
It's good to be back. Yeah, like you said, scoundrels, usually they are kind of the underdogs. They're beaten down. They have to fight the odds. So this is what we're doing.
That's
We're
right.
never 100%. We're always the underdogs. We can do it.
They're the kind of people who be public defenders, right?
There we go.
Little take off the other channel. Anyway, but no, we have, of course, we miss Bedore. She's taking a little bit of time off. She will be returning when she gets ready to return. It's going to be a glorious return of the Jedi aspect. Well, she's like Sith Lord too, so I always hate to say that. Nobody likes being a Jedi in our show. Everybody's like, "Well, he's a Sith Lord."
I'll be one.
You'll be the Jedi.
I'll be the Jedi. I'll be the PL the one.
Bieldo, there you go.
cool. Take one look at me. One, I'm British, so I have to be the bad guy. It's a
True.
Hollywood.
Yep.
It's a Hollywood trope. Being English means we have to be the bad guys. Covered in
Yeah.
tattoos, long hair. Like I just exude bad guy, which is weird because I'm a pretty nice dude.
You are a pretty nice dude. That's the funniest thing about it.
I could kill you,
by the way.
but I'm a pretty nice dude.
Let's see what the chat. Thanks for popping in, guys. Sorry, Weston Iro. Good to see
Oh,
you.
hi, Sari.
Yeah. Matty
Sorry.
Matt Movies. That's Matthew Kearns in the chat. Saying
Oh,
that he's not feeling the best, but he wants to hear us talk about his favorite prequel. That's right. He actually came to us the other day and said that upon rewatching it, episode 2 is now his favorite prequel. He might be the only person I know that has said that.
Yep.
Probably, but that's okay. I support it. I love it. Let him go for it.
Shout out to my best friend Ryan Trout. Shout out, he listens to us after the show. He doesn't watch live. He listens to us afterwards. We were on Xbox last night, and we were actually talking. And he said how Attack of the Clones is his favorite Star Wars movie as well. And he begged me not to go in too deep, not to go too hard on it. So Ryan, if you're listening, buddy, I will fulfill that promise. And also to Weston in the chat saying Dragon Ball. I mean, it's the second greatest franchise, as you guys can see. I got that down there. But so yeah, for some people they do love Attack of the Clones. For some reason, it is the favorite. I don't know why.
I'm hearing more and more. I find like as time goes on, people forgive it more and more for it. It was definitely hated for a long, long time. But at the same time, I will say it's Star Wars, so I still watch it and I still have a good time with it. So even if it is probably my least favorite live action films, I can still put it on and have a good time with it because there's still a lot to like, right? But we'll get into that later on. First of all, what we do on this show, we like to take look at the news from the week, news from the past week. Talk to Matty Kearns. Sorry, talk to Matty Kearns.
Where's the Ed Harris gift that Kernsey made for you? When you mentioned Kernsey, I was like, oh no, here we go. Here comes the Ed Harris.
You know that one?
Ed Harris. There we go.
There he is. As a Jedi. So I could watch that. That could be my whole 60-minute episode, just me watching that GIF. I won't subject you guys to that. We're gonna get to the news of the week first before we break down our episode 2, our little review of episode 2, and also go into our deep dive. A little bit of news this week. I'll open up with a couple of short time news bits that are just little fun bits. We had the idea, or we found out that Tom Holland of Spider-Man fame originally auditioned for Finn. And, well, it seems that he tried to talked to and tried to run lines and had a woman who was playing a droid, and I guess the woman took it very seriously and was boop, boop, booping and booping, whatever, and caused Tom Holland to laugh. And he said basically it's one of the worst auditions he ever gave, and there's no doubt in his mind why he did not get the part of Finn. But
I'm laughing already. I'm like you doing the I would have botched it as well.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm not like these are the painkillers. That's not my best droid impersonation. That's my punch drunk. Like,
we cancel each other out, so I'm on them as well.
But even more than like the idea that he auditioned, like it gets my mind going, because how would the sequel trilogy have changed if Tom Holland had played Finn? I can even imagine how that would be. That'd be like such a different like take on the role, but a younger role, younger character. He's not exactly like intimidating. He's Spider-Man, so he gets intimidating in that degree, but like physically not very intimidating. He's kind of like I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
You're saying Tom Holland isn't physically intimidating,
bro?
He's one of the more able actors there is, and his stunt double is actually considered the best stunt double in Hollywood because he has to do all these crazy shit because Tom Holland is super agile. He's so acrobatic. He can do crazy stuff. Anyway,
I would say go watch his lip sync battle video.
Oh yeah, Rihanna.
He takes his shirt off. Yeah, he does Rihanna. He takes his shirt off at the end. Dude is jacked, like jacked.
I mean, I've seen him, but he's still kind of he's still kind of a small kid to me. He just seems like
He'd kick your ass.
I would. Well, that's not a high bar. Though. That's a low bar. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a very much a fighter. I just mean like more in terms of like he's like a high school kid. He looks like a high school kid to me compared to like Finn, who's a grown adult kind of thing. I guess that's more. That's not less about the intimidation factor, more about like the age and the wisdom kind of thing. He just seems a little too. I don't know. High school kid for the part that Finn was.
I could see it though. I could really see it. Like now, I wouldn't replace John Boyega. And there we go.
Every time that happened.
But he has sort of that awkward, kind of clumsy thing about him that Finn has it when he starts out. So I can see it, but I wouldn't trade it for that by any means.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I guess that's what it is. What would you like, Matty? Would you want to see that?
No, not really, because I love him. I love him as Spider-Man, and I kind of feel like there's an unwritten rule that you can't do MCU and Spider-Man, especially at the same time. And I feel like he would have made a much better. He makes a much better Spider-Man because he's the complete package of Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
He is Spider-Man.
Exactly. Like you see him like doing all this Make-A-Wish stuff. He's perfect for that. Like where he goes to children's hospitals dressed as Spider-Man. And I think that John Boyega, he fills that part of Finn perfectly. Do I wish they would have done more with him? Absolutely.
We are going to get to see. Oh yeah, Paul's going to be right back. we are going to get to see Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland together in Chaos Walking. So we're going to see how that chemistry would work.
Yeah.
That's I think it's coming out next week or the week after that.
Yeah, sometime soon. I'm not quite sure. It's definitely one that I want to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
I think that if you put Tom Holland in that role, I feel like it would kind of be more of like a comic relief kind of role, and you would kind of make Finn the awkward, funny guy, which he was at first, but I don't know how you get that.
Okay, I'm back.
Character growth. I don't know how you get that character development with an actor like Tom Holland. He seems like a very much at the moment, a young person's actor as opposed to John Boyega, who is, everyone could get behind John Boyega.
Can you hear me now, by the way?
Yeah, we could hear you before as well.
Because my cat disconnected my mic and wouldn't unmute it. So I was like, that's what he gets. He's a pain in the ass. He's a little... I love him, but anyway. So I'm sorry what I missed, but yeah. But as far as Tom Holland goes, I'd love to have seen it only because I like to see. I love seeing alternative takes on characters, so that's always interesting to see. I do have a hard time hard time envisioning it, so to speak.
I do want to see the audition tape.
That I really
Like,
want to see more than
yeah.
anything, to be honest with you. And that's the funniest part of it all. Yes, you can finally blame PLD's cat instead of blaming PLD. That's what we're going to do. Okay, moving on.
Someone's
There we
gonna
go.
blame you just for having the cat.
That's, you could go back to me. Okay, so it's back to me. I gotta get it. It's all good.
It's a flirkin. Was it the flirkin? What was the word that they used
I
in
think that's what
Captain
it is.
Marvel? Flirkin?
I think that's what it is. It's the Samuel L. Jackson's the Dick Fury
Yep.
cat. All right. Anyways, the next bit of news we got here was that Daisy Ridley is open to returning to Rey. Now, this is interesting because she had come out and said basically, I think Rey's story is done. I don't think we can do anymore. She basically said like she was done after Rise of Skywalker. But now they had another interview where she kind of like, well, you never say never, and yada yada yada. I feel like this is what I expected. Like the more time away from the franchise, the more she'd be like, I can come back. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like, even if you have a miss or something like Rise of Skywalker, as much as some other things, they all liked Rey. They all liked her as Rey. So it's kind of hard to be away from that kind of thing. I mean, like I get saying wanting to take a break, but at the same time, going back to you have that like the adulation of the people, you get to be involved in freaking Star Wars. I mean, like this just seems like a no-brainer to me. I think like in 5-6 years we'll get Rey back at some point. Maybe a little later, but I don't know. What do you guys think? I think are we gonna get Rey back? What do you think?
Well, she was one of the best things. Her and Adam Driver were like the best things that happened to the new sequel trilogy for sure. And Daisy, I think it was Ken Knapsack who said that Rey is his favorite character in Star Wars, like one of the top 3 favorite characters in Star Wars altogether, even the OG trilogy and the prequels. I would hope that they still, if they do another trilogy, that they would start completely fresh. Is what they should have done with the sequel trilogy. Anyway, I feel like we have so much baggage and we use the same characters. Sure, we want to hit the nostalgia beats, but I think we should just start completely fresh and not, stumble onto these old characters again that we have to do justice for. We just need a fresh take now.
Right.
So in that sense, I wouldn't want Rey to come back but if I'm thinking about Daisy Ridley as an actress, I'm sure I'll never be against her coming back. But story-wise, I wouldn't want her coming back.
What are you, Matty?
I think out of all of the characters that could come back, I think Daisy Ridley is the most likely. Mm-hmm. And I mean, let's be real here. Like John Boyega, I think he's decided, nope, done. Adam Driver, he's very much an actor's actor with the projects that he's taking on. So I think it would take a little bit more to bring him back. But you throw enough money at someone, of course they're going to come back. If you throw that Mickey Mouse money at someone, I don't care who you are. You throw that Mickey Mouse money at someone, they're going to say, yeah, I'll come back. Yeah. And like, how stoked were we when we first saw Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi, at The Last Jedi, right at the end? Like, we were stoked. Just that first shot of seeing Luke. I have a young niece, right?
You mean The Force Awakens?
Force Awakens.
Yeah. We know what you meant. We know what you meant.
You know what I meant. But I've got a young niece, right? She's gonna like be my age one day, and she's gonna be stoked when Star Wars movies come out and they see Rey again for the first time.
Agreed. That's what I'm thinking.
There's going to be that ever cycle of bringing back characters that are loved.
Even Harrison Ford was happy to come back. The Force Awakens kind of thing. He even seemed like he was actually excited to come back a little bit. So that can happen, then anything can happen. But yes, exactly, as if we make the decisions, right? Mm. And you're right, Matty. The other Matty, I keep saying Matty, because there's 2 Mattys now. Matty Kern saying the future of Star Wars will be interesting, but as of right now, I don't see us revisiting the sequels in the near future. I don't disagree. I think it's going to TV for a while, and we're gonna have a couple of Rogue Squadron, stuff like that, and everything else. But then eventually, maybe eventually. I think the only issue is that as many stories as you can tell, I feel it's like only human nature to want to know what happens next.
Mhm.
And like
It
it's
is.
still kind of a linear story. So now what happens next? We can find out what happens in between. Everything was not quite the same. So I wouldn't be surprised if eventually we go back and revisit some aspects of it in some way, shape, or form. But
I do want her coming to terms with her being a Palpatine and not a Skywalker. So that you know me, Paul. Like this
I
was my
know.
biggest issue.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
Accept
lot
who
of
you
it.
are, Ray. You're a Palpatine. Accept it.
interesting you bring that up, Jarvi, because if you think about in the, I think it was the Vader comics, when people found out that Padme was the daughter of Darth Vader, it ruined her political career. Like that would be an interesting arc, like to find out when people find out that Rey is a Palpatine.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
So you want Ray to go into politics?
Jedi's in politics, why not?
we oh that's
Go
like,
wrong.
no,
Because she's just
we're gonna have a TV series about Ray called The Senate, the House. Wait, something like the House of Cards,
am
but with
the
Ray. Yeah,
perfect.
exactly.
You said it. I love it. I love it.
She totally like unknowingly channels her Palpatine and says the same line, like "I am the Senate."
I am the
General Bedore, how good to
Bidor,
see you. Much love, much love.
Scott was a general.
Yeah.
we
Well,
miss you,
she said
Bidor.
hello there. She had said hello there, so I had to answer with the, General Kenobi, but General Bedore. We miss you. We miss you so much. We can't wait for you to come back on the show. But thanks for popping in. We appreciate that. So we are. Like I said, Bedore's even another one of our walking wounded crew. Bedore can't be here. I'm sick. Jarvi's sick. Matty's and we're all bored here. So we're still talking.
I twisted my ankle skateboarding. It wasn't a good time.
Oh no, wait. So one of you has a tooth-related injury. No, both of you have a tooth-related injury.
I had
You've got a twisted ankle. I've got COVID. What else?
I don't know. They're conspiring against us. That's all. So the force is conspiring against us, but we're not going to go down easy. Not going down that fight. Let's move on to our next news topic. We have Ronald Moore saying he wants to write for Star Wars again. He had written for the aborted Underworld series, or they had like a bunch of scripts that were written. There was going to be the first live action Star Wars series. Lucas was all in on developing it and got tossed away, especially, I think it was actually tossed away before Disney even bought it, but afterwards, there's no way, because it was going to be way too expensive at the time. I mean, here we go, flash forward, 10 years later, and we're getting all sorts of budgeted for TV shows and the Mandalorian and things like that. But at the time, it wasn't feasible. But they had scripts written, and Moore actually mentioned writing for dialogue for Darth Vader. So we got the only confirmation. The first confirmation we had that Darth Vader would have been in the Underworld. It really made sense for the time frame that he would make appearances or something to that effect. But I mean, to me, it's a little bit of a non-story in terms of like, well, yeah, I'm sure any sci-fi writer would love to write Star Wars, like in some way, shape, or form. Of course, we're all more known for Battlestar Galactica, things of that nature. Would you want to see someone like that back in the Star Wars fold, give him another shot, or what do you guys think?
Mm-hmm. Did you ever see the footage that got leaked of the Underworld show?
A little bit of it, yeah. It wasn't much of it, but it was pretty cool looking.
I want to see the whole thing, man. That looked really cool to me. I want to see the whole thing.
It was a great concept of show. I got to be honest with you, the Underworld aspect of it. I mean, 1313 was the game that they were going to do at that time and everything else, but or the CD would kind of be what Crimson Dawn would have been.
Bingo.
Was that the very first live action Star Wars show that was supposed to come out?
Yes, it was the first one. Was supposed to be that was really, really tackled, and they wrote like 80 scripts or something with like a really.
Mm-hmm.
They had everything all like planned out, plotted out. Lucas was all in on it. The producer at the time, who I always forget his name now, he produced the prequels. He was Rick McCallum. He was all in on it, and it just fizzled away at that point. And that's right. There was CGI Clone Wars, a live action series about secondary characters, but we never got that, unfortunately. He got there eventually, though. He got them. But But I would like to give him another shot. Give him another shot and see what he can come up with. Anybody who's he wrote Battlestar Galactica, which had a lot. I mean, some people would have some problems with the way the series ended, but there's a lot of intelligence going on there. So I think he could be a pretty cool person to have write a TV series or a micro series or something to that effect. But although that's true too, I want to see Fedora and Matty writing a Star Wars show, particularly Dex's Kitchen.
There we go.
Me and Bador have actually swapped ideas about what we would want for a Crimson Dawn series.
Oh yeah,
it would. Yeah, me and Bador writing a Darth Maul Crimson Dawn series would be pretty cool.
We should do that someday. We'll have to have fan fiction, and we'll have to have our own little show of what we're gonna do. We're gonna have happen. All right, moving on. We got a couple more pieces of news before we go into our break. That's another one. Actually, Detours is another one that got shelved, right? That funny bit that I would like to have seen. I love the comedy out of Star Wars. It's really good. I actually watched the other day. I finally got a chance to watch the new holiday special for the kids. It was cute. It was good. It was fun. I had a good time with it, man. So if you haven't watched that, you should go watch it. It's definitely worth your time as a Star Wars fan, especially if you have the young kids around too. That definitely doesn't hurt. I got two more pieces of news we're going to touch base on. First of all, The Bad Batch is officially coming on May 4th. We are celebrating May the 4th be with you. It's going to premiere on Tuesday, and according to the official synopsis, following the elite and experimental clones of the Bad Batch, first introduced in the Clone Wars, as they find their way in a rapidly changing galaxy in the immediate aftermath of the Clone War. Members of the Bad Batch, a unique squad of clones who vary genetically from their brothers in the clone army, each possess a singular, exceptional skill that makes them extraordinarily effective soldiers and a formidable crew. And it seems like we're getting these on a weekly basis. That makes me happy. I've been kind of liking the whole weekly thing again. It's kind of funny. I went to this binging model. Then we kind of brought it back. Clone Wars brought it back, and I'm Mandalorian now. WandaVision, MCU. I like the model of getting to sit down, watch an episode, ruminate on it, see where it's going, and then get to watch it again next week. Get to do it all over again next week, right?
It's a smarter decision as well because it brings the person back to your platform weekly.
Right.
So if you just binge it at one go, you're done, and you might switch to a different show or a different movie or a different platform. That will keep bringing you back. So it kind of makes sense. Definitely,
absolutely. I suppose, a clone show with a clone that's basically Rambo.
Yep.
That what the guy says basically Rambo.
Yep.
They don't try to hide it.
Rambo.
They close out with the red headband and everything else, right? But not only that, you got a couple other good characters in there. Fennec Shaw's supposed to be in there. Some point, a bunch of them are supposed to be in the character. I almost guarantee we'll see some Mandalorians. We'll probably see Bo-Katan and that kind of nature a little bit.
Palpatine.
I know we're going to see Vader and Palpatine.
Yeah, Palpatine is in there.
Karkin, I think, as well. I mentioned at one point.
Ooh.
And yes, that's what it really is. It's a Dee Bradley Baker showcase. Is there anybody else that's going to be doing voices in that show besides him at this point? Only one or two here and there. It's basically all Dee Bradley Baker. Good for him, though. Good for him. I still will always say that Dee Bradley Baker, what amazes me about him is he's playing clones. He's basically playing the same voice. It's supposed to be the same voice, but as the same character-esque in a way. But he makes them so unique. You can tell the difference between 20, 30 different clones with similar voices, but he just changes it around just enough that it's so unique. It's really great, amazing talent. He's really underrated. I think he deserves a lot more credit than what he gets.
He's the Seth MacFarlane of Star Wars.
Pretty much, in a way. But
there's
either way...
Sorry, please.
No,
there's two kinds of people that I feel don't get the credit they deserve when it comes to award season and stuff. And that's stunt people and voice actors.
Very much so. Very much so.
Voice actors do incredible work.
Some of them more than others. Some of them more than others.
I've just been having a hard time, and you know that, PLD, that I just can't get behind animated Star Wars. I've been trying to watch the Clone Wars. I've been trying to watch Rebels. I can watch it for a while, but it doesn't hook me in like live action. Nothing does like live action. So I'm going to give it a try because now I'm just I'm going to watch each episode weekly. I don't have to, like, at the moment, it's like, watch Clone Wars. There's like how many seasons? It's kind of tough. It's kind of overwhelming to go back to it and watch it all. But I'm going to try and keep up now.
All right.
It's just that, it's
You know
been,
what?
I don't know. It's not, if it's not live action, there's something that's kind of keeping me away from it.
I get it to a degree. You know what we're going to do, though? As part of our, like, the second part of our show is always about, like, taking the media and breaking it down. We're going to do these arcs, too. We're going to do some Clone Wars arcs. And so therefore, I'll make you sit down and watch, like, 3 episodes at a time for a week. And then we'll talk about it. And then we'll tell you why you should love it and why you will love it. And we'll make you love it. That's what we're going to do.
You can try.
We're going to condition.
We can try.
We're going to condition.
There is no try.
Do or do not. There is no
There
try.
is no try.
All right, I can't wait for Bad Batch. I'm excited about it. It should be fun. Although I will say, it did take me a little bit more to get excited about this show than some of the other ones because, like, I love Clone Wars, I love Rebels. Bad Batch having that one arc in Clone Wars, I'm like, okay, so we're gonna do a whole series about them. Sure, but I wasn't like clamoring at the bit for this particular story. But the more I see, the more I feel like I'm getting ready for it now. So it is Filoni, and Filoni I trust. Hell, I didn't like Ahsoka at first, and now she's one of my favorite characters in Star Wars lore. So we'll have to see what happens with them. Hopefully, we'll get some good connectivity between Clone Wars and the Rebellion and things of that nature. So May 4th, we'll get it here, and we will definitely be reviewing that on a weekly basis on Scoundrels as well. I actually take some breaks off the other media pieces to just review those. My final piece of news was a rumor. I found a rumor, and I can't confirm it anywhere. Maybe someone in the chat can if they found a legitimate source. What I found is that the Book of Boba Fett is only going to be 4 episodes long. I haven't heard any official declaration about that, but that struck me as very weird. I had both ups and downs, but I'm curious to hear what you guys' thoughts are on Boba Fett being 4 episodes.
I'm hoping that means that the episodes are kind of like mini movies, like an hour-long episodes or even longer. Otherwise, it kind of seems, I don't know, like, what's the point? They could bring him back in other series, have him cameo again, but I'm hoping that means that we were getting longer episodes, and it's something they haven't tried with series format. Usually it's like 40 minutes max, I think.
Monty, you are my sources for everything. You are the Montyverse. So if you have those sources, let me know.
We need more Monty. Need more Monty.
NMM. Hashtag NMM. Need more Monty.
Am I right that Robert Rodriguez is directing this?
The Boba Fett series? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know if they actually officially announced it.
I think they have, but if he is, and it's 4 episodes, you guys know what this is going to be, right? This is going to be El Mariachi in Star Wars. This is going to be Desperado, and I would be totally cool if this is just one last stand of Boba Fett. He's just coming. He's blasted everyone out of Jabba's palace. People are going to be coming for him. I would be cool if it's just Boba Fett just hunkered down in Jabba's palace, just fighting off bounty hunters for 4 episodes. I'm cool with that.
Jabba's palace. Huh. It does say Robert Rodriguez is producing it. He's one of the executive producers. It does not get like I'm looking at the wiki page, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But to say that he's producing it, so I would be surprised if he's directing the whole. It's only 4 episodes. Maybe he's just going to direct the whole thing.
And you can bring in Antonio Banderas as Hondo.
Yeah.
There you go, Weston. Weston to me, same wavelength, dude.
Somebody's saying Benorthic is in Weston. Yes, that makes sense. Although this brings up a good point. This is one of the things I was going to bring up. My take on this is that Boba Fett reading into Mando season 3, because there was that bit when they first announced this at the end of the season, where like, was this season 3 of Mando, or was this like? I even brought up at one point, was this going to be part of season 3 of Mando? Like, is this like you take like 10 or 12 production episodes of Mandalorian and then give 4 to the Book of Boba Fett, and then 8 or whatever to Mandalorian season 3. It could be something like that. I don't really know. But I gotta say, when I first heard this, I was disappointed. Then I sat with it. I sat with it a little bit more and said, well, basically, we're getting a Disney Plus Boba Fett movie. Because that's how much it's going to be. Like the content, if you're talking, even if it's like 45 minutes, you're still getting about like a 3-hour or so of content of Boba Fett. Maybe that's all they need with that story. It's just that kind of thing. If it's that kind of specific thing, it's not a legend, like a big epic thing. It's just a story about them in the Jabba's palace and where they're setting themselves up at. And maybe we'll see more. I kind of liked it more and more. It seems to me if they have that, it's such a weird, unique number that they must have a plan in place specifically for that story, and that's all they needed. Not only that, it got me to thinking and got me kind of excited in that if they do this with 4 episodes, they could do this with a lot of different characters. You wouldn't have to commit like a big movie to, or commit a big long production, whatever. You could take in a lot of different characters and get these like little stories, almost make it like an anthology series without being a series. Like they're not like calling it a series, like Clone Wars, where you had like an Anakin Obi-Wan story, a Padme story, whatever. It's like that without like being attached at all. So you could have Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett. Then you could have the Book of Hondo Ohnaka, the Book of Cad Bane, the Book of Darth Bane,
Tales of the Bounty Hunters,
the Book of the Sith, the Book of, and you could have almost any character in Star Wars that you want to have come in, have a 4-episode little mini arc without having to commit to anything. And then let's say one of them is really successful. Let's say Boba Fett is super successful. Then maybe you do a little full-on series later on and continue it that way. I mean, it's a lot of different. I like the potential that this gives and what we can do with it. There's a lot of different avenues you can explore without having to fully commit to something. I like that idea. Book of the Library. That's right. Book of PLD. That's what it's going to be. I'm going to have my own. That's what I'm going to do.
Who would you have direct that?
Ed Harris.
Direct it? Really?
Yeah. Well, he directs Pollock. He directed Appaloosa. He could direct. He just directed it. Okay. No, honestly, if I ever had to pick anybody, I would direct. I'd have Denis Villeneuve direct it because he is actually my favorite director of all time. Not of all time, but
the Sacred Jedi.
And
then the starring would have to be there's probably a name for her, the old lady that's in the Jedi archives who yeah, that's I didn't know her name before, but she was like super arrogant to Obi-Wan. They need to redeem her. It's not in the archives, doesn't exist. He's like, fuck off.
She actually got a little bit redeemed in comics later on, just so you know. But yeah, she is kind of a pain in the ass for this episode. But you know what? Actually, that's a great segue you just gave us there, Jarvi. You just do it. You didn't even know that. You didn't even mean to. Well, we're gonna move right on now. We had our news bits and news pieces. Let's get into the meat of this week's episode. Is Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones. One of the most relevant movies of the Star Wars franchise. It's got its defenders, obviously, in the chat. Matty Kearns is there. Let's start off. I think the first thing we should do is talk about when we first saw it, what our thoughts were, like, before we saw it, and, like, how we were interacting with it afterwards. Episode 2, obviously, I saw in the theaters. I was in that time frame where I had seen Phantom Menace. I had, like, slept over for Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace had been not the most well received. Obviously, there was some controversy over it. It was big. It made the money it did. But it felt like Episode 2 was like this, like, okay, well, what are we going to do about this now? Is Lucas going to hit a home run again? Is Lucas going to recover? That was what it felt like at the time. Whether you liked the prequels or not, we liked it at the time. Obviously, all the prequels have seemed to have aged. I don't know if aged better is the way to say it. But I feel like the people who were kids at the time have grown up and they love the prequels, because the younger generation absolutely loved the prequels. I have kids who watch the prequels and they loved it. That was their Star Wars. But when some of the adults of my age were going into it, it felt like man, what is this gonna be like? What is this gonna do? And we went in there and we had the promise was, okay, we're skipping forward 10 years, or whatever. We're losing kid Anakin. We're losing Jake Lloyd, who was not exactly well received at the time either. We're gonna finally get Anakin kicking ass, which is what we missed from episode 1. Like, why? If this was about the fall of Darth Vader, we got an 8-year-old kid the whole first movie, and that was ridiculous. We want to see Anakin in action. We got to see the Clone Wars in action. And then we got Attack of the Clones.
And you got Hayden.
And we got Hayden Christensen. Instead of getting a couple of other ones who were talked about at the time, Leonardo DiCaprio was mentioned at one point. My boy James Vanderbeek was mentioned at one point. I can actually confirm that. My boy.
I love it. I love that you knew that dude.
Jimmy DB. That's what you used to call him at school. Jimmy DB. JVDB.
What?
I don't know what he just
What did you call him?
It's James Vanderbeek. His sister JVDB, but we would be like kind of like drunkenly slurring it. So we just go Jimmy DB. I don't know. You're drunk. What do you want from me? We were probably also doing other
this
things.
is my favorite thing.
Like Jean-Claude Van Damme, JCVD.
That's kind of where it came from. Anyway, so I saw the film, and I will admit that it was the first time I wasn't as excited to see a Star Wars film that I had been. Like I wasn't as excited to see Attack of the Clones as I had been for Phantom Menace. I went in and I enjoyed it quite a bit. And the interesting part of this is that almost everybody to this day, when they came out of that film, would have said it was better than episode 1. It was better. That's what they said. They said it was going to be better. Episode 1 was finally. Oh, look at that! Who's in the chat? Oh my God, Bill Lee. Good to see you, my friend. Bill is an old friend of mine. We used to run a Star Wars message board during the prequels called Fatooine. It was a great place. Fatooine was awesome. I loved Fatooine. It was great. It was like an offshoot of the old TheForce.net, which is still around. And it was a haven for a lot of, shall we say, I don't want to offend anybody, but they're all kind of stuck up. And we were kind of just like we were actually a little bit, we were the trolls, but we were the ones like the trolls did like a good fun away. We just didn't want to take anything like that seriously. We got into like clone theories, we got ghost theories. It was all sorts of nutsy shit, but it was pretty funny. But anyway, I was gonna say Attack of the Clones. We got it. I did like it. Everybody seemed to like it a lot more, but then it kind of aged as it went on. People kind of like lost all faith in it. They lost faith in the romance angle. As it was pretty reveled hardcore. They kind of, some people took umbrage with some of the editing choices that were made. Some of them, there's a lot of issues with it. What were your guys' first thoughts if you go deep dive into like little bits as we go through the movie? What were your initial thoughts going in and then coming out? That sounded really much more sexual than I wanted it to. Oh, go ahead.
You know what? I can't remember seeing Attack of the Clones in the cinema. It's weird. I remember seeing The Phantom Menace and I remember seeing Revenge of the Sith, but I can't remember seeing episode 2 in the cinema. It kind of just, I haven't forgotten about it. I remember seeing it multiple times, but there is no memory. And for that reason, I think it's my lowest rated prequel movie as well. But there's no memory because I remember all the other ones. This one is just kind of a blank for me.
Oh, interesting take on that.
But it definitely is one of my most watched at home. Like I watched Revenge of the Sith in my later years, but Attack of the Clones was the one that I always put on the arena scene and when Yoda was fighting Dooku. These were like the two scenes that I just like. I had it on the VHS, so these were, it was like kind of worn out on that part. Always rewinding to those parts.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm trying to think because I don't remember seeing it in the cinema either. Like
Weird,
I know
right?
I did, but I don't remember. Like I remember seeing the Phantom Menace clearly, and I'm probably gonna get killed for this. And shout out to Ryan. I'm sorry, buddy, but this is gonna be one of the moments where I take a shot at Attack of the Clones. For a movie that is supposed to be so important, it's not the most memorable of the three. There's no, other than a bunch of Jedi showing up at the end, there's no Darth Maul taking off the hood. There's no pod racer moment. There's like what is there other than the arena battle at the end? What is there?
Well,
There's
we'll get
the
into
romance.
that. There is something.
There's
And
the romance.
that's what I have the biggest problem with. Guys, do not do what Anakin did. That whole fireplace scene was creepy.
Hoping that doesn't become a scar.
What there is John Williams across the stars. John Williams
That redeems it.
That
The
redeems
love
it.
theme's one of the greatest pieces of music ever.
And the memes, come on. I hate sand. How we would not have I hate sand without episode 2 and all that.
Like the bit out by the balcony, that's cool. Like out by the river, that I'm like, all right, Anakin's getting suave now. He's trying to get his lady. Like I respect it. It's the fireplace scene where he's like looking over and he's like trying to do, like if that was us, like we'd be like trying to move over to the couch and like put the arm around. Like that was his moment of trying to do that. But the way he was looking at her, the way he was like, hoping.
I gotta pull something here. I gotta
try poetry as well. Or
when I was in college, I had a friend, and I actually defended. I went on this like really. I'll admit it now. I was high as fuck. I defended this romance angle. I took this tactic, and I defended it to the death, even though I didn't totally believe it. And years later, he'll still come up to me and go, "You know what? I still kind of get it now," is what you said. I wish I could tell you exactly what it was because it'd be the key to solving the universe, but I didn't get away. But I think the general gist I got was people took the romance so seriously. But if you look at the way the characters were developed, it actually made sense. Anakin is this kid who grew up in a temple away from all women, no
game,
no experience with women, no game. He's with his men. He's with a bunch of old men and women who don't have any game either. There's no game amongst them. Padme's not someone who's exactly in a lot of game either. She's like, she's doing too much time for politics and everything else. This is supposed to be a young, awkward, wooden romance. This isn't supposed to be Shakespeare. This is supposed to be two awkward kids. And Anakin's a fucking creeper. He is a creeper. He becomes Darth Vader because he doesn't want to lose somebody because he's a stalker and he's obsessed. That's eventually kind of what happens. I mean, it's so to be honest with you, the dialogue made a lot of sense. If you don't have to like it, you don't have to say it's the greatest romance of all time. But as far as the characters go, it actually does make a little sense.
Allow me to counter that. Obi-Wan ended up pulling a Duchess. Not just any woman. His master, who was also in the temple with the same old dudes, ended up hooking up with a Duchess, a Mandalorian Duchess.
You know what? You're a Jedi warrior who can handle your lightsaber pretty well. You're stuck in a place together. You put two guys in a traumatic experience. Anything can happen. Anything can happen at that point. Come on, is that really game? Maybe.
Desperation is what you're saying.
It could be. A little bit. We're gonna die here in a couple of seconds. Let's. It's the old. That's the smooth movie. We're gonna die. You might want to play with my lightsaber a little bit.
Here, press the button. It extends.
There you go. There you go. Back.
It gets bigger, I promise.
Before I really defile this child of masterpiece, this was great. Okay, so we'll admit, all right, the romance angle definitely. I understand when people don't like it. I just think I understand why it is the way it is. Besides the fact that it also is written by George Lucas, who, as much as I love and worship the ground he walks on, dialogue is not his strong suit.
He's Anakin.
He is Anakin in a way. He is really, that's partly what it is. But with that being said, I do want to touch on some positives before we go all negative, because there are some we can go back to some negatives in a little bit, and we will. But there are some positives that I have to it. Matty actually brought up a little bit earlier on in the chat. I was noticing it through there. We had, first of all, Christopher Lee in Star Wars. Christopher Lee
Yep.
is an amazing actor. I love what he does. His presence as Dooku is one of the best parts about the prequels in general, if not Attack of the Clones. He lends such an air of like just respectability to the role, even though he's an older man at this point. He's like it's like a Gandalf Saruman thing for Star Wars that made much more sense. I loved seeing Christopher Lee in there. What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely love it. And he also sells his, I know there's like CGI and like stuntman use, but you kind of believe that he is this old man who can like throw down, and he can beat the best of the Jedi with a lightsaber. And that still holds up the way he fights and how that's shown. But yeah, his presence, he's just, I don't know if there's a better actor per se in Attack of the Clones than he is. Is there anyone that outperforms him? I don't think there is.
In Attack of the Clones, I don't think there probably would be. I mean, because Ian McDiarmid is barely in it.
Yeah, like he would be the only one.
Thing. That's the only detriment of it, because he had nothing in there. Ewan McGregor is great still. I still think Obi-Wan's good. He's always most consistent.
He's just having fun. He's having fun.
It's more of a swashbuckling type thing in a way, a little bit. Yeah, probably I would say he is probably the best actor of the game. Maybe Frank Oz and Yoda. That's still puppeting. So, and Joe Castanew is a great actress. Come on. No, I got it. It's the kid in the class where Yoda and Obi-Wan when Obi-Wan comes in.
Liam?
Yes.
Dude, Liam. This is what I want. Like, his name is Liam. Like, oi, Liam! Get the fuck over. Like, Liam!
Liam, what's fucking blind?
What kind of a name is that? Liam. Like in Star Wars, I mean.
Liam
so weird.
A lot of them for. That's what it's for. But yeah, Ewan is good. But you know what the best part is? I actually will say, Monty's got it right here. Dexter is actually a very cool and very good actor. And like, I know it's his thing, but he fits the role very well. And if I wanted to see any spinoff of any of those characters in there, I would love to see the adventures of Dexter in there. I think that he like pre-diner, I think he'd be a lot of fun character.
Oh yeah,
those Camino saber dogs.
On how big your pocketbook is,
and wisdom.
And he was a fighter. Did you know that? He was a
Yeah.
fighter before.
Yeah. So there is that. There's that angle there. So Christopher Lee definitely is one of the best things about it. I also would say Bill brought it up earlier too. I noticed this too. This is one of my favorite bits. The Jango Fett asteroid sequence.
Thank you.
And the sound effect there.
Seismic charges.
The seismic charges.
My favorite thing.
Oh, those are cool.
Jarvi, I'm surprised you didn't pick that for your thing that you want to do a deep dive in. Like I was like 100% certain.
How do you deep dive on seismic charges?
You make a figure you figure out a way where you're going to use them again. I don't know. They are used the Mandalorian, so. But that was a cool aspect to it. I do like that. I also enjoyed. I did kind of enjoy the Obi-Wan detective storyline to a degree. It got a little bit convoluted here and there, but I liked Obi-Wan. It was we didn't see that from the Jedi at that point. That wasn't something we really kind of got into, that idea that they were like tracking down clues and bringing them left and right, and finding out about Camino and finding out about Sifo Dyas and everything else. That storyline was actually kind of cool because it led them to Geonosis and led them being captured by Christopher Lee, by Dooku. Even though it had that kind of those mirrors that Lucas always liked to bring up. We got the Christopher Lee tempting or trying to tempt Obi-Wan the way like Vader would have tried to tempt Luke in a way. Of course, they both say "fuck you" in their own way, of course. So that is cool. And also, I did like the speed, the thing in the beginning, the cruising all through Coruscant. That whole aspect of trying to the Claudite, they try to getting figuring that out. That chase is actually kind of fun in action. You get to see Obi-Wan and Anakin have some good camaraderie. That's one of the arguments about the prequel sometimes, that they don't show Obi-Wan and Anakin's true brotherhood, so to speak. I kind of felt it was good. It was good there. Had a few little barbs with each other, a few little.
They went clubbing.
Clubbing.
Yeah, they went clubbing, going for a drink. Anakin's just cruising around, seeing what's out there.
But the action sequence is a lot of fun watching that happen. So I do like that. I wish we had more of that. I think that's why the Clone Wars cartoon actually really helps sell that relationship better than episode 2 and episode 3 did. So by the end of episode 3, after you see the Clone Wars, it hits a little bit more when you see the Brotherhood. Poof. Yeah. Yeah, Monty, we would do this a lot. We noticed that the chat would say something, and all of a sudden you'll be saying something as well. Exactly. They had chemistry. They did, and they banter off well off each other. Just didn't get a lot of it for whatever reason. I had sacrifice for action sequences and moving things forward. It is what it is for that craze. But let me see anything else. Anything else that's really stood out as being really good in Attack of the Clones, or ran low. So I want to touch base on the ending sequences there, the Geonosis battle. Before we do that, I want to touch base on anything else first. I mean,
some of the comedy is pretty good.
The comedy can be good.
Like 3PO in the droid factory on Geonosis, like that was some pretty good comedy.
It was.
I wasn't a fan.
It was okay. It was better than the Jar Jar bits, I thought, in episode 1, but it might only be because I like the character better. This is a weird one, actually, I would say, is that R2-D2 has been a kind of a fan thing. Yeah, people have been like taking it like a bit with it. The fact that he has the jet rockets out of his legs that he never used in the original trilogy. But that never bothered me at all. I was like, he's older now, maybe busted down. I thought it was kind of cool down the rockets. Let it happen. You guys, did that bother you guys at all? No, it didn't bother you either. Okay, good.
Nope. I loved it.
Oh, Bador. Oh, Bador. I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would. Okay. Well, let's get into the Geonosis sequence then. The Geonosis sequence there's I have a lot of love and a lot of not love for it. I wouldn't say hate, but there's some issues I do have with it. I remember when we saw the trailer. That was the best part about the trailer. The excitement of, holy shit, we're finally getting all these Jedi in action. And they're running with all their lightsabers out and everything else. And yet, the more I watch it, it doesn't hit as well with me because it's all a bunch of nameless Jedi. And we don't get to actually see them doing a whole lot. It's like they're facing the droid army. It's not even a great big droid army at this point. I don't know who these people are. They don't actually act like Jedis half the time. You can almost tell like they're nameless stuntmen. And sometimes it didn't fit for me as much as I wanted it to. I overall got a little disappointed. It seemed a little more silly than a real battle at some point. There's moments that were really good, and I think the fact that they cut down some certain things. They cut down, like they deleted a Kia D Mundy's like side mission that they had and things of that nature. And maybe I wanted to see more Sith versus Jedi. I mean, that's what I wanted, and I kind of felt shortchanged in a way, seeing them against the droids. I'm not sure, but the battle sequence itself wasn't entirely. And the music got edited to shit also, by the way, during that. They took John Williams' score, and I heard later on a Bill, who I do like, the guy's name there, the sound guy, the famous sound, Ben Burt from and had to edit the score out and end up taking out some of John Williams' music, which is unforgivable. But more importantly, the one thing I do want to ask you guys, Yoda versus Dooku. Yoda versus Dooku. Where do you stand on that? Because I have seen so many people hate it.
No, I'm not hearing slander about that. All right. Here's the thing. I am one of the smaller guys at my gym, right? Most of the guys are middleweight, light heavyweight guys. I'm one of the smaller guys. So to see little Yoda come walking into that hangar, got his stick, most unassuming little dude, and he's just standing there. Dooku's just taken out Obi-Wan and Anakin, two Jedi who are in their own right very powerful. And you think, uh-oh, here we go. Like, Yoda's this frail old man. What's he going to do that those two couldn't? And then he proceeds to go to town on Dooku. Like, Dooku tries throwing stuff at him, tries hitting him with Force lightning. Yoda just grabs it and just crushes it, does nothing with it. And then Dooku's like, okay, we have to settle this with our lightsaber. And Yoda's just like, okay, puts the stick down and pulls out his lightsaber. Like, Yoda was game from the jump. He was like, all right, cool. If that's what you want to do, we'll go toe to toe with the lightsaber as well. And finding out that Dooku was Yoda's apprentice, like, Yoda just sunned him even more. It was like, you can become this powerful Sith, but remember who your daddy really is. Remember who taught you all this stuff. Like, you wouldn't be in the position that you're in if not for me. So just remember what your real like Obi-Wan said to Anakin, you will learn your place, my young apprentice.
But it didn't bother you that he jumped around so much, because that's one of the biggest things. Is like he was so bouncy and so like on the move all the time. It doesn't bother me. I'm just asking you.
Nah, stick and move.
I will say,
don't just stand there with a big guy. Just stick and move. Keep going.
I will say that the build to it was definitely spot on. The build to it was what they needed to have happen. I think what Lucas was going for, because you had Obi-Wan and Anakin. You had Anakin. First of all, Anakin being impetuous and young and dumb, young, dumb, and full of cum, as they say, and rushing at it and getting thrown away easily. And then Obi-Wan fights him, and Obi-Wan does a more, efficient battle, but then gets his ass kicked too as well. Anakin saves him then, and actually, because Christopher Lee is an older guy, they don't have as many. They didn't want to do too much of stunt double with him. I guess he didn't get a big Anakin Dooku battle, which it makes sense. You want to say a little bit to save that towards the for episode 3 and see really Anakin full on out. But I did love that sequence. Actually, Kim, the wife, actually always calls back to it. There's that moment where Anakin slices the light cables, and all you see is all the lightsabers, like and their faces, like the red and blue, going, and that really kind of is a cool angle. But Anakin gets his ass kicked, taken down, and then Yoda walks in. You're like, the build up to that was like, holy shit, here we are. It's fucking Yoda. We've never even seen this before. And I agree. He just is like, yep, I'm going to block that, take care of that. Yep.
And even shoots it back. Shoots the lightning back.
And then it comes down to it. He just opens up his rope. Yep. All right. Let's go. Now, I do love that Yoda and Dooku fought. I do love we got to see Yoda in action. The flipping about was a little much for me. I know what they were trying to do, because having the so small, the size differential made it difficult for the battle to look cool. So you had to make it spry. But overall, at the end, it didn't bother me. At the end, the build-up is enough for me to be like, okay, that's pretty cool. And to be honest with you, I actually loved that they kind of made fun of themselves a little bit for it. But at the end, after they goes, Yoda's all trying to eat pizza, he's flipping around.
And he picks up the stick again.
Yeah, and they walk. It's like, what is that?
I'm gonna say what I think it is, right? Lucas was a big fan of Kurosawa, right? Lucas loved like samurai and old school martial arts movies. I think that was his way of paying homage to that. Like, how many kung fu movies have you seen where dudes are like flying and spinning and flipping through the air, and you're just like, that would never happen. I think that was probably Lucas's way of being like, let's do something like that.
It could be. It could very well be, because he's a very big fan of it. Everything else, that's true. But yes, at the end of the day, I always think that was a little overblown. I don't mind that at all. There's other things that are definitely much more egregious in the movies than that. I did miss that one too, when Yoda was going to be taking a hit for the crack pipe. I didn't see that in the edited scenes. That's the special edition. This is my friend and I. This is what we used to do. Give a whole dissertation on some stuff that you'd never seen in Star Wars that you would think you would want to see. But and yeah, that actually is funny too. That is pretty funny. I think it's a short rip just enough. It's like obvious what we're going for here. George, you being a little bit objectified. at that point.
A little bit.
What about the monsters in there? Actually, what did you mind that sequence at all? Some people think the monsters are too much. I like the monster sequence. I thought it was just fun. In fact, that was one of my favorite humor moments of the entire film. I came to rescue.
Well done.
Good job.
She's certainly on top of things.
Yeah.
Padme's climbing the pole. Just like she's on top of things. It's like, oh my god, like that's such a dad joke.
It is so bad.
It's perfect for that moment.
Exactly, and that's the best part about it, though. But I don't know. Anything more you want to say specifically about the movie before we go into our deep dives?
I got some questions for you.
Go ahead. I have some answers.
Do you think the fact that Anakin lost his lightsaber, it got cut in half in the construction, like the droid construction area, right?
Yes.
So when he's fighting Dooku, he's getting like these random lightsabers. Oh no, one's Obi-Wan's and one green one. It's just a random one that he gets, right?
Well, they're taken prisoner, and then the Jedi the Jedi when they came to, which was a cool moment. Let me interject real quick before you answer your question. That was actually kind of a cool moment too, when the Jedi Yoda showed up with the clones and everything else, and the Jedi, or when Mace showed up with the Jedi. I'm sorry, first Mace shows up with the Jedi, and you see that the party's over, silly but over the top, but still kind of fun, kind of line it over. But the Jedi there give them lightsabers. So it's not their lightsabers anymore at that point. That's an interesting
thing. Odo in the force push as well.
And the smile. Yeah, the smile. But so it's I actually would like to do a deep dive into that at some point. The lineage of the lightsabers, because his lightsaber got sliced in Geonosis. So
this is something that I wanted to do the deep dive on. I just couldn't find enough information on. Like I got some articles here and there, but what I wanted to know is, like, sure, a Jedi can use a random lightsaber. They're probably better with their own because they've constructed them. But do you think that they lost to Dooku so easily is one of the big reasons is that they were using random lightsabers as well?
I never really thought of it that way. I think the answer is probably somewhere more. It's probably not as much as you would think, but at the same time, maybe more than I would have thought. I would have even thought about that. Whether you have a different sort of thing because you have somebody so powerful as Dooku, you really need to be on top of your game. And Jedi, lightsaber is your life, as Obi-Wan has said numerous times. So
it feels like Anakin has lost his more than a few times, though, because it says not again.
Yeah,
and it's definitely more than 2 times now.
And there's also that phrase, the weapon doesn't make the man makes the weapon.
Right.
So there's definitely something to that.
Yeah. And Matty seems like that for the. That's a good point, Matty. That's a good point. The monsters without the lightsabers, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jarvi. Keep going.
Is Django's armor Beskar?
Yes.
Okay, so the fact that Mace cut his head off just had to be super accurate of a slice, or was Beskar not a thing back then? Like,
are we talking in story, or are we talking
about it back then?
Yeah, are we talking in story, or are we talking? I'm not gonna try to make excuses in story. I always looked at it as if like it was just a perfectly angled shot right there, because you can take the helmet off. So obviously, there's a place where there's some gap there that he probably had to hit. That's what I'm going to go with anyway.
Okay.
But I like that question. How do you like that question?
But it was Durasteel.
It's possible. I assumed that it was the same Mandalorian armor that. I mean, it could be. I actually never really dug. You know what? Give me a second. I'll look and see what it is.
It was a cheap knockoff.
A cheap
knockoff.
Mandalorian.
I'm just kidding. Don't come for me, Star Wars fans, please.
Oh, they will.
Oh wow.
It does say.
Yeah, Weston's got a good movie. Beskar now.
It is Beskar. It is best. It says Beskar because technically speaking, Boba Fett made the armor from Django's. That's what it says in here. I don't know if that's it's got to be Beskar to a degree. Let's see, Mandalorian armor Beskar. Yeah. Yep, it's from Beskar.
Good shot.
Wikipedia, according to Wikipedia, it does say that it says the bounty hunter Django and his clone son were customized Mandalorian armor, which was made with a Beskar alloy. So Looks like Mace has got great aim.
Yeah.
But if you're a Jedi Master of Mace Windu's caliber, then that's what happens. Speaking of Mace Windu,
Uh-oh.
I'm going to put this right out here now. I think Mace Windu is the reason the Jedi fall.
Mm.
Mace is the epitome of everything that is wrong with the Jedi to the utmost. His arrogance, his lack of compassion, his
Hubris.
Hubris is the best way to say it, is the reason why the Jedi fall. You see it in episode 1, you see it in episode 2, and you see it in episode 3, all the way until Palpatine is doing unlimited power. And you realize that Mace is like begging Anakin to save him from his folly. You gotta go with me. I'm the good guy. I'm the good guy, Eddie. Bye-bye. Bitch. You just went out like a punk. But anyway, that's exactly what it is. It's same episode 2, same episode. Whole time, Mace has been a very arrogant character. And I think it's played well by Samuel L. Jackson to do it for that reason. Because Samuel L. Jackson plays arrogant very well. But I just ran a little rant as far as that goes. I like seeing Mace's stories individually. Like his story as individually, his prowess in battle is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But his character is just clouded by the dark side all over the place. Blame Mace. He lost the Anakin, partially loses them Ahsoka. There's not a lot that the guy does right. What the hell does the guy do right except for say this party's over and slice Jango's head off? And even by then,
which is also a very aggressive move.
Right.
Like cutting someone's head off as a Jedi. That's
True.
That's pretty extreme.
Han Solo just got rid of Boba Fett by just accidentally hitting his jetpack, getting him to fly away. That's all you got to do. Come on, Mace. We'll use the Force. Click. Would have gone, right? Come on. But
if you noticed, I changed my lighting to red because I'm about to go in here. Like the dark side, the Sith in me is gonna come out here. Mace Windu is a punk, arrogant bitch. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Mace Windu is an arrogant punk bitch. He ever since Anakin arrived at that temple, he just disregarded him. Like the whole thing about the chosen one, he was like, you're saying this child is the chosen one? Like there was just such an arrogance. It's like, yeah, why not? Why can't this little kid from this desert planet be the chosen one for this prophecy? Why not? And the whole time you look through the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan always kept Anakin at arm's length a little bit and that was more because of Obi-Wan. Mace never wanted him there in the first place. Why? I don't know. Possibly because he knew that Anakin would one day grow to become more powerful than him. And I think he felt threatened by that. I think there was a bit of a inferiority complex there from Mason being like, oh, no, I'm not having this. No. This little kid is not going to become more powerful than me. So I'm going to do everything I can. Every turn that he tries to make, I'm going to be there to cut him off. There's no way that he's stealing my spotlight. And that's Mace as a character. Who else has a purple lightsaber? No one else. He's the only one. And who's the Grand Master of the Order? It ain't Mace Windu, it's Yoda. Yoda is the highest ranked Jedi. He's the most powerful ranked Jedi. Yet Mace has to have the different colored lightsaber. Mace always has to have the final say in the council meetings. Mace always has to do this, do that, do this. It's like, dude, you got beat by an old man and a kid. Like, Palpatine kicked your ass. Anakin just came in and finished the job. It's like, how can the Sith be so like nothing? Like, oh, the Sith, no, we would know if the Sith were coming back. Your temple is built on a Sith shrine. How could you not know? Because you are so blind and so arrogant. And this old man just came in and whooped your ass. And how I wish that there had been like a shot of a smile on Anakin's face. Like when he killed Mace, when he finished Mace, if there had been like just this little bit of a grin, oh my God, that would have been so satisfying.
Did he finish Mace though? He cut his arm off and he flew him out the window.
I mean,
I'm going to die on this hill.
He's going to come back?
Dude,
It is Star Wars. It is
He's not dead.
He could come back in a way, but I don't want it to happen necessarily.
He's too arrogant to die.
That's true.
Okay.
You never know. Maybe he's
I'm
landing
back.
with a speeder passing by. Who knows? Right.
I'm back.
You're back. You're back. You're back.
I closed the Sith holocron. I'm back.
All right. Anything else that we didn't break down? Well, you know what? There's one more scene I'll bring out. We're kind of. I'm sorry, I think our Alyssa is making me a little more going on tangents here and there, so I apologize for that. And I'm happy you guys are still here. And thanks for being in the chat and hanging out with us and following me on these very non segues, just random back and forth. The sequence where Anakin goes and finds his mom and slaughters the Jawas, the Tusken Raiders. That scene with the music and Duel of the Fates is very well done to me. I think it's a great sequence there. Despite the only thing a little bit weird about it is when she actually dies, that she had a flops. It's kind of a weird looking thing. But his anger there is probably some of Hayden's best work in his facial expressions and everything else. But more importantly, how the lore is affected when Yoda hears Qui-Gon and saying no, the whole thing. That little sequence is one of my favorite of the movies, of all the movies. It's a lore that it comes back into play. Episode 3 comes back into play. Episode 9 even. The whole Force Ghost all, and the more like it just I've really grown to love the Force Ghost angles, and seeing what is beyond for Jedi as they go on. And so anytime you touch base on that makes me happy. So I did like that a lot. Any thoughts on that scene, on those sequences?
That's right before Mace walks in, right?
Yes. Yes. And Yoda's like, oh God, Skywalker's in pain. Oh, it's pain. As Yoda would say.
Mace does nothing.
He's like, yeah, well, so, bitch.
I do think it's interesting that we heard Qui-Gon. And Qui-Gon was saying Anakin. Like, was Qui-Gon trying to reach out to Anakin in that moment?
I feel like he was. That he wanted, like, the Anakin was touching the dark side. He knew it was a bad spot for him. I feel like, now, this is some of the lore that, like, I've said before on the show, as an older Star Wars fan, we have legends and we have canon. And sometimes they intertwine, and sometimes I don't know if things have been fully explored now in terms of the canon that might have been explored different legends. I always feel like the interpretation I had with the Force Ghost angle is that Qui-Gon has learned how to do it, kind of, but hadn't learned it well enough to become corporeal, as we saw. You really hear him, he appears, except for in the Mortis episodes, but that's always that's a weird, twisty thing of what's happening and what's not. But as far as in our journey, we don't see Qui-Gon. So he didn't quite get there, is what the lore had started stating. Now, was this like his first attempt to come back? Because the first time we hear him, is this his first real coming back? Because you don't hear him after. It's not like it's episode 4 where Obi-Wan dies and like at the end of Death Star, he's like, yeah, use the Force, Luke. Do everything you need to do. Qui-Gon dies episode 1. This is the first time we actually hear him. Is this the first time anybody hears him? Has Yoda heard him before this or anybody? I don't know. So maybe this is actually Qui-Gon's, in a way, maybe Anakin in his anger and going towards the dark side actually was the catalyst for Obi-Wan, for Qui-Gon to break through. He'd been trying to break through to talk to his fellow Jedi and everything else to get back to our world in Force Ghost form. And because Anakin did this, it was able to, that like adrenaline thing, right? He breaks on through the other side and actually you can hear his voice for the first time. So in a way, perhaps maybe this is the catalyst, that's the silver lining. And we get to see Force Ghosts after that because of that moment.
I think you're onto something, sure. It makes sense.
Right? I like that idea of it though. So
Yeah, it's definitely something. It's given me something to think about. I think that it's definitely a good. Yeah, it could be like maybe he was toying with it and he felt Anakin touching the dark side and he was like, all right, no better time than now. Like I have to do it now. I have to reach out to him before he goes down this path. So even if I've mastered it or not, I'm gonna give it a try because
good.
I have to save this kid.
I like that. Yeah, and you include live streaming, which could also be Yoda here in the future. Include that could be all time, tiny whiny, wibbly wobbly, all that kind of stuff, right? But one last bit about that. Yeah, Matty brings up a good point. I did like that sequence too. At least the one line. Some people will say that Anakin's whining a little bit during that sequence, and some people are a lot of people rail on Padme for oh, you just slaughtered a bunch of kids. Well, yeah, you're okay. We still love you. I get that. That's a little creepy. Well, we've already established that there's a little bit of creepy love angle there anyway. But that line specifically about being a Jedi and knowing better and being better, it's very illuminating to how the Jedi have been teaching him and potentially the problems that the Jedi are having in their teaching process. At this point, comparing it also, by the way, with what we've talked about before. Now, Jarvi, you don't know much about this yet, but the High Republic stuff they've talked about, the High Republic Jedi where they were versus where the prequel Jedi were, you're seeing this angle of how love is being more and more compartmentalized. You're not allowed to have these kind of love passions, even though you're going to. There's emotions that you have to have, or you have to find a way to properly channel them, so to speak.
Anakin even says it himself. It's like they're encouraged to love. He's trying to find a loophole to hook up with Padme.
Right. And in a way, it's almost like them holding him back from that actually causes him to go to the dark side. If he could have loved her, then perhaps something would have been different about the whole thing. You never know, though. You'll never really know because, Palpatine came in and rushed up, as Palpatine does. But, all right. I think that's good. We hit on pretty much everything we need to hit on overall as far as the movie itself goes. It's still my least favorite overall. It's just too much. There's just not enough that there's just better in all the other films. There's not characters that keep you going as much. There's always more smaller moments to me that do much with it. Episode 3 is a much better prequel for me. Episode 1 had more lore for me as well.
There's a lot of fluff in Attack of the Clones.
A lot of fluff. That's what it is. But that was good to see you, Steve. And also Vermont Mike in there as well. Project Python. You should also check out his channel, by the way. Vermont Mike has a channel called Project Python. That's what he's there.
That's Mike?
Channel. Yes.
Oh, shout out Vermont Mike, man. I'm definitely going to check that out. Good dude.
He's a good dude. He's got some good content so far. He's started content over there. So I really should go check that out. Absolutely. But we'll do our quick deep dive. But before I do, I do have, always stream. You always throw Streamlabs in there if you want to help support the channel. Got another way to support the channel now, though. We do have the merchandise, as they would say in Spaceballs. I finally opened up a TeePublic store with the PLD projects. So go check out TeePublic / I think it's in the description there. Let me see the description. It's teepublic.com/user/PLD projects. We got t-shirts and hoodies and all that stuff. I got the PLD Projects logo, and we have the the Scoundrels of the Force. I'll share those real quick.
Yeah, keep it up for the people to see.
I can as soon as I find it on here. I think it's in here. There we go. That's the storefront yard there. There's Scoundrels of the Force logos, and there's the PLD Projects logos. Feel free to take those on. Open today. I just bought my first one myself, so I just basically paid myself. So thank you to Jake Yakavetta for the Scoundrels of the Force logo, and thank you to Jacob Patrick for the PLD Projects logo there. So, and there you go. Bador has that right there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And no super chat bill. I don't have enough subscribers and stuff, or I have to have 1,000 subscribers or 400 views or whatever it is. I forget what exactly the whole thing is. Eventually I'll get it. and I keep plugging away. That's the whole process. But streamlabs.com/PLD projects is how you would help me out with that donation as well. So, I got a wife and 3 kids. So,
And if you guys look right there on the TeePublic page, the Scoundrels stuff is actually on for sale. So you got for the next 2 days. So you guys can head over there. We got T-shirts, we got hoodies, we got mugs, buttons, all kinds of stuff. So make sure you guys go check that out.
And of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments. That helps with the algorithm, and let us know if there's anything else you want us to deep dive into. You have our last bit of deep diving to do. We all want to take one aspect of the film and extrapolate on it. So there are other canon appearances and what it meant to us and what we might see in the future. Matty, what did you choose to talk about?
So I chose the master apprentice relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Because, and it's something that we've touched on a little bit over this episode, but it's something I want to go into a little bit more. Something that guys like Paul, you and I, we read the comics, we take in all the media, we take in all the literature, everything. A lot of people don't know that Anakin almost left the Jedi Order before Attack of the Clones. This was in the Obi-Wan and Anakin arc of the comics. And there was a conversation at the end where between Yoda and Obi-Wan, where Obi-Wan informed Yoda, he was like, Anakin's probably gonna leave the Jedi Order and I'm gonna go with him because I promised Qui-Gon that I would complete his training. And Yoda was completely fine with it. And I think we're gonna learn a little bit more about why maybe that was in the High Republic, but Obi-Wan's always kept Anakin a little bit of an arm's reach, kind of like, I'm gonna fulfill your training, but I'm gonna keep my eyes on you because you are someone who is so important that I'm gonna make sure that you get the right training that you need, but I'm not gonna get too attached to you because I know I think he always he knew that him and Padme were together. Like, let's be real here. Like, he knew what was going on the whole time.
Well, it was confirmed in the final arc of the Clone Wars. They actually had that moment where Anakin spoke to Padme. Rex was hiding it, but Anakin walks out. Obi-Wan turns and says something like, "I hope you said hi to Padme," or something like that. I forget the exact line. It was like I hope she's doing well, or something like that. I was like, oh, so Obi-Wan definitely did know. So yeah, it was confirmed. So I'm sorry, go ahead there.
And I think Obi-Wan's always tried to be what Qui-Gon would have been. He tried to be that father figure. And we see in Attack of the Clones, Anakin saying, "You're the closest thing I have to a father." But Obi-Wan's always been that big brother. And as someone who, I have coaches, I drive them insane. Like, there's days where I won't show up to practice. There's days where I'm goofing off in practice, like talking to everyone and like not paying attention. And then I end up getting socked in the face. And the coach is like, well, you had it coming. You had it coming. And it's something like I believe Monty said that we should have had more scenes between Ewan and Hayden. And we're obviously going to get it in Obi-Wan. But I think that, especially going back and reading the Obi-Wan and Anakin arc, it was like Obi-Wan really did love Anakin. I know he was like, there's the meme, there's the whole joke of like, I loved you, blah, blah, blah. But he really did. Like, Obi-Wan almost left the Jedi Order for Anakin to complete his training because he promised Qui-Gon. So there's a deeper relationship there that I really wish that they had done more with.
I want to actually add on a little bit. Yeah, Obi-Wan, the actual con was a 5-issue miniseries called Obi-Wan and Anakin. And what I remember the best part about it was that, Obi-Wan told Yoda that Yoda sent them on this mission together, and he wasn't stopping them, but he kind of knew, I think he kind of knew that if they had been together and he did this mission together, that they would probably stick around. I kind of had the feeling like this was the idea of why he sent them on the mission to keep them together. But with the High Republic coming out, it's almost interesting to see what would have happened if Obi-Wan and Anakin had become the wayfinding Jedi. The whole way they take the break from the Jedi Order, take the break from the Jedi Council. that could have been an interesting angle to go, and perhaps Anakin never would have left. It would have been interesting. What if
Maybe,
that would have been, right?
yeah, maybe it was Yoda's way of saying, "Get away from this." Shit, Monty, my man, my man.
Appreciate that.
What if it was Yoda's way of saying, "Hey, go on this mission. Get away from the temple. Get away from Mace. Get away from the Order. Like, go and complete your training without these restrictions, without being tied down. Become who you are supposed to be." But obviously, Yoda, he's the Grand Master of the Order, so he couldn't be like, "Hey, screw these guys. Go off, do your own thing." But maybe it was his way of just saying, "Hey, get out of here. Like, go, leave while you can."
Right. I like it. I like it a lot. I'd love to see more from Obi-Wan and Anakin. I agree. It's the more backstory we can get, the more arc we get. I feel like everything we get strengthens Revenge of the Sith for me. It strengthens it makes the downfall even more touching. Yes, Matty really hates Reese is an asshole. It's true. It's what it is. Jarvi, what were your thoughts and what were your deep dive you wanted to know more about or tell us more about? Or
yeah, we even mentioned this before a little bit, and I wanted to know how Obi-Wan and Dex knew each other before they met Dex's Diner. He's always been kind of an interesting character that I'm not sure if he's ever been in some of the animated shows. You guys probably know. I haven't seen him in any of them.
In Dex himself, no, he was in. He had a short story that involved Dex and Obi-Wan, but not a whole lot still has ever come out from him. And surprisingly much, I almost feel like there should have been a lot more story with Dex in there.
Yeah, because he's had a very colorful life. Like he was a smuggler. He ran guns, and I like this one. He even did a stint as a professional fighter. This is I'm pretty sure why Matty loves the guy.
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah.
And and apparently he met Obi-Wan when he was a Padawan in the Outer Rim mining world of Ord Sighet, when he was also like running a bar, but it was a cover for running guns back then. So they did meet like a while back, and he also had run-ins with Jango Fett before that as well. And while he was in the Outer Rim, that's when he first saw the Camino saber dart. This is which comes back to Attack of the Clones, why he could so easily identify the dart.
Right.
But what I found extremely amusing was that Dex met Obi-Wan again when the unidentifiable, I'm not going to even try to pronounce this, a meal that was served in the Jedi Temple drove the young Jedi to try Dex's Diner. So they were serving something so horrible that Obi-Wan was like, yeah, I'm going to go to this like fast food joint. I can't eat this. And the meal's called a Verkopti of Skaza Bolleri.
God bless you.
Right.
That sounds disgusting.
And when I like, I'm not even sure if this is canon, but apparently Dex's Diner had the best Nerf burgers.
Sounds like it's probably
this is pretty much the most useless information there is, but to me this was incredibly amusing, and this is how Obi-Wan and Dex previously had run-ins.
Yeah, I love that angle. I love that angle so much. I would love to see a Dex miniseries of some kind, or even like a Disney
Hell's
Plus
Kitchen.
series. Hell's Kitchen besides Dex. Yes, Hell's Kitchen
And the first episode could be the Jedi Temple. Like they could serve that dish, and you could see the young Obi-Wan sitting there.
No.
What the fuck is this?
No, he's like, I've got a bad feeling about this.
I love it. Totally love it. All right, my angle I want to break down a little bit is actually, this is the first time, canonically speaking, as far as chronologically speaking, we get to meet Owen Lars, Uncle Owen, played by Joel Edgerton in these films.
Yep, crazy. young
Warrior
plump Joel
Joel
Edgerton.
Edgerton. We love Joel Edgerton. We're Action Army. We love Joel Edgerton, and here he is. And he gets. I don't want to say he gets wasted here because it's a small part in a big world, but I want to see more of him. And luckily, I feel like we're gonna get that finally. I feel like we're gonna see Joel Edgerton reprising the role in the Obi-Wan Disney Plus series.
You can
He is, I
also
think.
you can also see him in the fan movie. Like I would even say his like fan movies are like a level higher than most like Star Wars fan movies. Is the Kenobi short movie? Tell me the guy who does impressions on Schmoes know as well.
Jamie Costa.
Jamie Costa, that's right. So there you get a lot more over Lars as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I really love the fact if you go back to the Legends, the funniest part, most Star Wars fans know this, but the original novelization of Return of the Jedi said had that Obi-Wan's brother was actually Owen. That's actually how Obi-Wan said he sent Luke to live with his brother on Tatooine. So for the longest time, there was just like, wait a minute, Owen is Obi-Wan's brother? What the frick is going on? I don't get what's going on here. It was eventually retconned. There's still every once in a while you'll see something that like alludes to it, but that's more like a.
They still say Uncle Ben.
Yeah, it's way
in
good.
New Hope.
No Uncle. It don't say Uncle Ben.
Did he say Uncle Ben? Does he mean old Ben? Like I think he says Uncle at some point.
I think you're thinking of the food. I think you're thinking of like the rice and stuff. Uncle Ben.
He never says Uncle Ben. He says old Ben. They say old Ben.
I'm not thinking of Uncle Ben.
There's Obi-Wan. Old Ben. Because he talked about his uncle talking about Owen. And
maybe for some reason I got it. I remember someone said Uncle Ben. Maybe it's because I'm hungry and I'm thinking of Uncle Ben's.
That's what it is. It must be that. But either way, there's been nods to it now. But I do think I love seeing more and more now, especially because we get to find out more. There's some moments in some of the comics that have happened in between episode 3 and 4 take place where a young Luke's there, and Owen actually goes against Obi-Wan and really confronts him and says, stay away from him. I don't want you around him. If you wanted to you gave him to me to raise to keep him safe. I don't want you and your Jedi kind around him. And some good moments. I'm gonna bet we get more of the same, possibly in the Kenobi series. But he's kind of a good character. He's a good character in that he's salt of the earth. He's just this farmer on Tatooine. That's what he does. He's not an adventurer, but he's very loyal to the people he loves. He's very loyal to Peru, very loyal to Klieg, loyal to Shmi, and loyal to Luke, despite the fact that Anakin is everything that he doesn't want to have happen. He's everything that's complete opposite of him, right? Anakin's the adventurer. Anakin's the love of fighting and everything else. All he wants is to stay home and take care of his family. So it's a great big dichotomy. I do love that.
What if Joel Edgerton and Beru were like having money troubles, and then Owen had to go like to fighting rings, to earn some money, like moonlighting?
Let me add on to this, because I was literally just thinking this. If you guys just saw a smirk on my face, I was literally just thinking this. What if Owen goes with Obi-Wan to face Anakin, and Owen's hurt, he's got he's beaten up, and Obi-Wan just goes down on one knee and he just says, "Look, man, I know you want to go home, but if you don't kill these guys, you don't have a home." He gives him the Grillo speech.
If you don't beat us, you ain't got any more moisture.
There's no moisture.
It sounds way worse. No more moisture.
Yeah, we're basically riffing Warrior. We're always going to riff Warrior into Star Wars. That's how we're doing it at this point. All right, on that note, I think that's enough before we go too off the rails.
And he says, instead of listen to the Beethoven, he says, listen to the Williams.
Listen to the Williams. Listen to the Jewel of the Faith. All right, guys. Thank you so much. This has been a great episode, good and fun, despite our being the walking wounded, so to speak. I'm so glad for everybody that appeared in the chat. Their door, love you. I can't wait for you to come back when you get everything settled. You're more than well. You'll be back on hardcore with us. Matty Kearns, I love seeing the chat. I hope to see you more. I know you set your alarm. Matt set his alarm to hear us talking about his I love that. Weston, always good. Movie Finobi, always good to see you. Bill, best friend Bill from everything that I got a chance to. It's good to see him. And by the way, Matty, speaking of Matty Kearns, we got a Streamlab from him that I just seen now. And a couple of Streamlabs in here I missed. I had this. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Streamlabs before we go. Movie Fanobi, great donation. Thank you so much, Movie Fanobi. Keep doing what you're doing. Small channels and groups of kind people are vital for all of us. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. From Steve. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I do love our community. I love talking Star Wars with our community. I love talking a lot of things with our community. But it's you guys that make it worthwhile because I really enjoy getting to hang out with you guys, both on screen and off. And also, Matty Kearns donated, saying Obi-Wan was only a Jedi Knight in clones. He lacked experience of someone like Qui-Gon to train Anakin in the perfect way. You're right. You're absolutely right. Obi-Wan's trying to do the best he can. But he was a Jedi Knight himself, and you're putting him up. Not in training somebody is hard enough. Training a Padawan is hard enough. You're going to train the chosen one. Anakin is a especially unique case. He's got a bit. So everyone did the best he could. So as much as he could. So I appreciate that, though, Matty. Good point on that as well. Jarvi, where can the folks find you?
An interesting what if. I'm wondering if it's been talked about. What if Qui-Gon survived and was his master? Do you think Anakin would have still flipped?
No.
No?
I think Qui-Gon would have taken him away. I think Qui-Gon would have taken him away, but in ways he would have taken away from the Jedi Order. And would have done a better job. I think
all right.
I feel that way. That's my own.
I kind of like these what if scenarios. We should definitely maybe tackle that at some point. I love doing those.
And explore them more full on. Yeah, well, you can add that as a scenario in Scoundrels. I like the what if angles as well. And also, Matty, also thank you for purchasing the shirt. I appreciate that as well, man. Really appreciate that. So, Jarvi, where can the folks find you?
You can find me at Richard Eric with a K Jarvi on Facebook and Instagram. And here weekly. No, I think we're bi-weekly now. Or are we weekly? Here I'm.
We're going weekly. We're gonna start. We're saying fuck it. We're gonna go weekly.
We're going weekly. If it's not a episode on a book, I'm here.
Yeah, that's true.
Not that I hate books though. I love books. I just haven't read them.
Well, we'll make you read one, or I'll try to give you as much time as I can to have you read one book, and we can do a book then maybe.
For sure.
All right, Matty, where can the folks find you?
You guys can find me right here talking Star Wars every week with these two gentlemen, and Fedor when she comes back, hopefully very soon. You can find me on Twitter at Matty Gunner. You can find me on Instagram, Matty_Gunner. Matty Gunner on Clubhouse. You can find me on there. You can find me on twitch.tv/Matty Gunner TV every Wednesday and Sunday at 9 p.m. GMT, 1 p.m. PT, and 4 p.m. ET. I finally got it down. Woohoo. For the ONU MMA show where we talk about combat sports, MMA, boxing, kickboxing, all that good stuff.
Awesome. And me at Paul_Deduzio on Twitter. You can find me here every week on Scoundrels of the Force with a group of Scoundrels that are most likely, it's always including Matty so far, Jarvi when he can, and a few other types of Bedore coming. I think we'll have Daniel Ramirez eventually will pop on. I know Kelsey has said she'll pop on at some point. And every once in a while we might actually decide to do a more American friendly time so we can get some other guests on. Maybe we'll do a later night, Sunday night sometime when I have a free time. We'll talk about that later on. But other friends that I've kind of broached having guest spots on here at some point. I know I'd love to have Mark Riley on here at some point talking Star Wars, or maybe Kevin Smets if when he's feeling good. But otherwise, you can find me here. You can also find me if you like the movie Trivia Schmodown, the big movie trivia that we all love. Find me on Call to Action on a weekly basis, on Chilled Action. Well, that's actually a bi-weekly basis. Now we do Chilled Action, do interviews there. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be on our new show with Billy Belford. Turn it up to 11. We're talking the top 11 feuds in Schmodown history. That should be a fun episode. Also find me on the Action Industries channel. We do WandaVision reviews every Friday, and also weekend content. The Action Guys will be tonight at 5:00 p.m. Pacific on that channel. I produce from behind the scenes. And finally, I can now say it because it was released. I am working with Brad Gilmore on the FCL, the First Class League, developing that. That should be a lot of fun. That's going to be debuting, I believe it's going to be debuting in March 30th, Tuesday on Twitch. That'll be our first match. That's been a great time developing. We've still got a long way to go in a short amount of time, but we'll get there. We got a good team. So other than that, I think that's it. I feel like I I've just been talking for hours about where you can find me because I am a whore. And I just let myself out to everybody. That's just how I am. So thanks so much, guys. I really do appreciate it. Let us know what you think. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And, of course, may the Force be with you always.